Coming up with beneficial ways of reusing waste materials is such a good idea. There's savings to be had from the disposal, and there's savings for the planet if we can reuse a material instead of using a new material for it. Concrete washout waste is when a concrete truck goes and delivers cement. This is an agitator truck. They come back to refill up the concrete, and there's a little bit of cement left in the bowl of the agitator. Now, at the end of the day, they need to make sure that doesn't set into concrete and make their bowl smaller and smaller and smaller. So they add about 1,000 litres of water and mix it all up, and then spit the washout waste into a big pit. Plenty of water and a few bits of solids, so that's sand, aggregate, and the cement and the leftover cement particles. It gets washed into this pit, and then they open some little bungs on it and let the water drain out and leave the solids behind. So the water's sent off and is recycled around the plant to make the next batch of concrete, but we have this solid material that we then need to deal with. Washout waste is highly alkaline. It's got a pH of around 12 or 13. The cement properties have been hydrated. The water that you put in and mix in with the agitator stops the concrete resetting, but the resultant washout waste we need to find a new use for. Not so long ago, concrete washout waste was generally taken back to quarries, and the Environmental Protection Agency were worried about this because there were no controls on what happened to the runoff or what happened to the material. The elements of the solution that we came up with basically had to do some sampling on the material and characterisation, and we had to do that over a range of plants and geographic areas to make sure that we were always dealing with the same type of material. And then we had to write in a specification of how this material could be beneficially used. So the solution that we came up with was basically using concrete washout waste as a fill material and as allowing the material to be blended with other materials to improve their properties. So say we're pulling out some really sloppy, muddy mess out of the ground from a development site, and you want to build a house on it, so you want to make that nice and strong. So by blending it in, we can actually make that soil usable rather than it also being a waste product that's unusable. The type of material that we're talking about there is such as acid sulfate soils. We've also tried things like dredge spoil, where it's been light, fluffy soil that's been dredged out of a river. And by blending washout waste with those materials, one, we're neutralising the acid potential from the material, we're reducing the requirement to use lime, which is a natural product, and we're improving the strength characteristics of the soil, of the resultant soil. Another one of the really interesting options that we're looking at the moment is mixing washout waste with other wastes such as fly ash or slag, and improving the properties of those materials as well, enabling them to be reused. Ballina being a low-lying area, lots of our sites here for potential building need filling to raise them above potential global warming and flooding impacts. Fill is an amazing necessity that we need, and if we can use a recycled product to fill sites, and it's a safe and standardised material rather than a virgin material, then we've got our perfect synergy of beneficial reuse and resource recovery. Initially we rolled out that solution in the Northern Rivers, the first 7 concrete batching plants, but then we've since rolled that solution for 100,000 tonnes a year out of the Sydney metropolitan basin, and now another dozen plants out northwest New South Wales as well. We're slowly implementing that solution New South Wales wide. The future of resource recovery is basically expanding the types of materials and, where we can, integrating different resource recovery projects so that you're creating a new and better product. If we can make that product into something that's bigger and better and safer for people to use, then that's a big win-win.